we have a weekly Muse. And so a couple weeks ago, we had talked about, the importance of video game preservation and what was happening.
Or the importance of not preserving them and being Nintendo.
And basically the idea that it was all kind of going to a streaming service at that point, and making it harder for people to actually purchase the games, a lot of them not going to be able to be purchased, and how important that was and the difficulty therein. Something I ran across while I was looking into that was this neat little story from February out in Nebraska, where...
February of this year, right?
Yeah, February of this year.
Okay.
Not from last year, yeah. No,
Just making sure.
It's fairly recent.
Okay.
In Nebraska, they found this rare video game collection, which potentially could be worth millions of dollars.
I bet it is just a ton of Atari ET cartridges.
You know, the ironic thing is, if you actually came across like a whole load of mint in box ET cartridges, they probably are worth quite a bit of money.
Yeah, for people who want to throw in fires.
No, because they eliminated so much of the stock because they put it into the landfill.
Yeah.
But this is a little article that they had. It was mostly on the local news in Nebraska, which is what I was just fascinated that I came across it. But in Lincoln, Nebraska, they uncovered this wonderful video game collection, and then a guy named Chris Thompson, who owns the Game Room. It's a video game store. Yes. It's a video game store. Remember those where they'd sell actual games? Yeah. Well, they still exist. He was asked by some owners that they had this large stock of video games, and asked them, hey, are any of these worth anything? So he goes over, and what he finds became a little bit of a viral sensation. Basically, there were just these boxes upon boxes, shelves upon shelves of video games that came out of a store that closed back in the mid-90s. Actually, two Nebraska gaming stores that closed down in the mid-90s, and they've basically been sitting in storage for 25 years.
Good place for them.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially if you thought of this as an investment, which I don't think they really did at the time, because while he couldn't put a specific evaluation on it, he was talking about the fact that some of these might be worth like $50. If they're factory sealed and in poor condition, they could be $1,000. And then if they're mint perfect, best specimens of their kind, factory sealed, which several of these look like they are, he's saying 100,000.
Yeah.
Now, to be frank, I think that's a tad high. Me personally.
Maybe.
I only say that because I've seen some things like, the limited edition gold cartridges for some of the old NESs, and they're worth tens of thousands, but I haven't seen a lot of things that are like hundreds of thousands.
They've been factory sealed gold cartridges.
There you go. If they did find some that were like the limited edition gold cartridges that were mint in box factory sealed, I could see it. But
I mean, let's be real. Pokemon cards are selling for a lot of money, so there's a market for anything.
Oh yeah. Anything that you have to the right collectors will be worth something.
I have a lot of skin cells.
Yeah, that's a very specific market, Alex.
It's a very specific market, but man, let me tap into that market, please.
That's true. You know who really likes dead skin cells is the lotion companies, because they want to corner the market on those. That's why they keep making moisturizers. Anyway, so Thompson was saying that if he even liquidated the entire stock that he had in the game room, he wouldn't have enough to buy the collection. And when you look at the video, it's kind of fascinating because the boxes that they have, you can tell that it was stock for a game store because there's like 7 copies of the same game.
Yeah.
So things like Genesis era SNES that sort of thing. There's like 6 copies that they have of like Aladdin, the old SNES Aladdin, that are all just sealed in box, which I do have to say, today, knowing like how many of those pretty much got tossed away, are probably a pretty rare item at this point. Some of them games that I had never even heard of when I was watching it. So I thought that was very interesting. I start wondering how many of us out there might actually have games that are shuffled away into a box somewhere. And
most of mine.
Most of yours. I'm gonna guess that you don't have any that are like still mint in box or sealed.
Probably not. Any game I bought, I probably played.
Yeah, see, I have that thing too, where usually I buy games to play them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember a phenomenon back in the day, though, where, like, when I had Ninja Turtles, you get the Ninja Turtle action figures, and Dad had this, like, thing where he'd say, okay, we'll get you one, but then I'm getting another one that we're keeping in the box. So,
did he?
Yes, he did. Somewhere there is a box of unopened 1980s Ninja Turtle figures somewhere, and that's a good thing. I have to find those.
Probably in the old house.
No, I did grab them. I made sure to get them. Fun fact, though, when I was looking them up in the inbox, which is what I'm curious about here, one of the most valuable of all of, like, that run of the Ninja Turtle figurines?
Bebop?
No, the Foot Soldier.
Really?
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, who bought the Foot Soldier and thought to keep it in the box? You just bought a bunch of Foot Soldiers and took them out of the box because you didn't think they'd be worth anything. I think that's kind of the idea. It makes me start thinking that there's a lot of games in here that were probably, like, popular, and the fact that they were popular is the reason why it's so rare to see them in the seal.
It kind of makes me think of those pop funk figures that you see everywhere.
Yes.
That people collect by the dozens. I have a friend who used to collect them, and it's like, a couple of years later, she's like, I don't know why I collected all of these. I need to get rid of them. Help.
Yeah.
But they had, like, a wall of them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, stacked floor to ceiling across several feet of the wall. And it's like, why? I don't understand that one personally. I don't really care about action figures a whole lot. But it's like, alright, but if you're just going to leave it in the box as a display piece, I don't understand.
Right.
I'm like, what is the point of these aside from this purpose?
You know what they are, Alex? They are the modern day commemorative plates.
Maybe.
Kind of like one day these will be
the
worth
episode title. Modern day commemorative plates.
Yeah,
and it's just a bunch of pop funks.
I think too, and I've started to realize this, when people buy stuff that they think they're buying as a collector's item, it probably won't be, because everybody's buying it to be a collector's item.
Yeah, you don't generally make an item going into it as a collector's item. And if you do, it's a limited run.
Yeah.
Which I guess the pop funk things do that specifically because people are doing that. Right. So like, oh, this one's a rare. It's like, okay, but it's a manufactured scarcity.
Yeah.
Not in, like, a natural scarcity. It's not like, this is hard to find because it's been lost.
Sure.
Or didn't perform well. This is hard to find because we only made 100 of them, so we could sell them at a premium price.
Yeah. The manufactured scarcity part, I think, it always makes me a little bit wary, only because I feel like it's not going to pan out because of that. One of the best things really to collect is what people are enjoying for the fact of enjoying it.
Yeah.
That's why Pokemon cards were worth money, because people were playing the game And
I mean, currently they're worth money because, you know, I think Jake Paul.
well, probably that too. But they had, like, I remember back in the day, pre-Jake Paul. Remember those days?
Remember those days?
Remember the pre-Jake Paul days? Oh, those were good times. But
Those were the best.
back then, you could have like a holographic Charizard, and it was worth money. It was still worth money, but people were playing with it. A lot of action figures, if they are still in box, are popular because people actually did take some of them out and play with them because they enjoyed them. So there's people don't really want to buy a collector's item of something they have no personal investment in. But
we say that, but we're also partial to the tabletop game scene as well, where there are people who will buy games just to put on their shelf to look nice on their shelf.
That is true. But when it comes to like the archaeology, because like in this particular article, they're talking a little bit about how it's not a process for him to be like throwing these up on eBay. This is where historians, documentarians are going to get into it because there's a lot here for him to even process. When it gets into those stages, it's going to be the items that are in good condition of stuff that people played back in the day that's going to be worth cash.
Right.
Even if you have a fairly good condition, like all of our lovely games that are on the wall, if no one actually got out there and like played the thing, I don't think it's going to have as much of a valuation because the market isn't there. People didn't play it.
So you're saying Dark Souls, the tabletop game,
it might not retail so well on secondary markets. Just saying.
Probably not.
Chances are you want to just play that when it comes.
I mean, chances are you don't want to play that,
or you don't want to play that. But if okay, so now the thing I'm thinking about to just kind of close out this segment is if I had just one of my games still around that I had held on to that I thought was going to be worth money. I'm trying to think what that would be. I think when I had gotten the original NES, I had Legend of Zelda, and it was in a gold cartridge.
Oh, there you go.
Kind of wish I had that.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of the games I had would be quite so collectible.
Yeah, it's hard to tell too, because sometimes you'll buy the ones that are like in the nice cases or whatever.
Maybe the original Half-Life.
Oh yeah.
Like the orange box.
Sure. I keep thinking one of the better things to have had around is not necessarily the games, but like some of the peripherals that they had. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if you remember on the N64, but there was the Rumble Pack.
Oh yeah.
Which now is just in controllers basically. But then there was also, I remember doing this. There was like the memory upgrade booster thing. That was like this little cartridge that was like red on top, and it stuck into the top of the N64. And it was necessary to get the RAM so that you could play the games later in the life of the console.
Yeah.
So by the time I got to Banjo-Tooie, it needed such a draw distance that it literally needed this like 4 megabyte or whatever RAM stick or something that would go into it. And it's like, look at the amazing graphics you get on this. It's like, yeah, it's nice. It's like the draw distance twice as far. That's nice. Got this little peripheral. Kind of wish I had that because I feel like that's something that most people did not keep around and still need. And still need if they're going to play it in N64. But anyway, yeah, if you're out there and you're listening to this, what kind of collector's item from video game history would you be looking for, and do you happen to have one around? Maybe it's worth trying to go out in the garage and check, or into the attic.
Maybe. Almost time for spring cleaning.
It's almost time for spring cleaning, and it's time to find out if you have a cartridge around. And if it's an ET cartridge, actually, you might want to check on that. Don't toss it in a landfill now.
No landfills.
No landfill for that.